Hello everyone and welcome. Phil here, live on today's stream. Today is the final day of July 31st, 2017. Welcome to my gameplay stream for today, which is a special event. It's actually the first of several special events this week that are taking place due to Patreon. Yes, patrons, people who pledge to my Patreon every month, have done so very generously this year, leading to a ton of celebratory events, okay? Starting tomorrow is actually going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog event, starring Sonic Adventure 2. That's going to be a fun playthrough. That's a game that I've played quite a few times back in the day when the Dreamcast was popular. I played it like 4 times. I really liked the game. Despite the fact that it does have some flaws, definitely. That's going to be a fun summer playthrough here. But that's tomorrow. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about today. Excuse me, I'm burping. Today is an Indies Marathon. Starting right now and probably running till around 7:30, 8 p.m. We'll see. We'll play it by ear and we'll see how it goes. Because, it all depends on things like how long my voice holds out, how well the games are doing, people are enjoying the games I'm playing or whatever. Because that's the cool thing about these marathons when I do them, is that I have flexibility. If I start playing a game and it doesn't really catch on, people are like, alright, well, was it good to try, but not really working out, we can get right on to the next game, or vice versa. If I'm playing a game here on the stream and people are really liking it, I have the ability to play it for a little bit longer, or, as an option, even come back to it and replay it as an ongoing playthrough here on my stream and on my DSPGaming channel on YouTube. So I like that. I definitely like that, and that's what I like about these indie marathons. I get exposed to a bunch of games that, in particular, more than likely came out during a time period when there were new releases, or I hadn't heard about the games at the time that they were released, and maybe over time they got popular, right, among a certain audience, but I wasn't part of that audience. So now I get a chance to come back and experience these games in a variety kind of setting here, and I really like that. Okay, I do. So I want to say thank you. As soon as I said thank you, I swallowed the wrong way. Hold on a second. Let me get a sip of something. Holy shit. I want to say thank you, and then I immediately want to choke to death. Good God. All right, let's try that again. I want to say thank you to the patrons who, this year, as I said, have been very generous and who did pledge enough that we hit a monthly goal a couple months back. They have nominated and voted on games for about 2 months. It was like they first got their upgrades for the forums, and they nominated, then they voted. So, what are the games on today's schedule? 4 games, folks, all completely different. First of all, we've got Shadow Complex Remastered. This is a game, I like to call it Metroidvania, because that's really what it is. It's like a combination of Metroid and Castlevania, those kind of games from back in the day. And this was a game that came out during the era of the Xbox 360. It was actually, if I remember correctly, it was earlier on. I believe it was, I can't remember the exact year. I actually remember playing this game on the Xbox 360 and starting a playthrough of it. This was before live streaming, by the way. I remember starting a playthrough of it and doing maybe 1 or 2 sessions of it. And then basically other stuff came out, whether it was new releases or whatever, and I got wrapped up in everything, and I never went back to it. Okay? So this is Shadow Complex Remastered. They basically redid the game with better graphics and released it on the modern consoles. So we'll be checking that out for a little bit here today on stream. That's the one of the games. I don't want to say the first game because I haven't determined the order yet. Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment, what order I'm going to play the games. Night in the Woods. I don't even know what this game is. I have absolutely no idea. A bunch of people have been talking about this game and has brought this up on my forums before, Night in the Woods, but I don't even know what kind of a game this is. I have no idea. So, honestly, I don't know, what even to expect. I am completely blind on this one. I have no idea. That Anonymous in the stream chat says it's a murder mystery. Really? Huh. Okay. Bionishoot says that you play as a weirdo who jerks off in the woods. Well, that could be a different kind of night in the woods, I guess. Just don't get bit on your dick by something. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Murder mystery. Sounds interesting. So that'll be fun. Then we've got Broforce. Now, this was a game that years ago, when it originally released on, I remember on PC only, I think, right? It was a PC exclusive at first, if I remember correctly. I remember a lot of people had asked me, am I going to play it? Am I going to play it? And I was like, well, what is it? And I guess they were like, it was some kind of cooperative combat shooter game that has a lot of comedy and stuff integrated into it or something like that. And at that point, I was like, I don't know, maybe I will. And then it ended up, I just kind of went right off my radar. And I never really, experienced it. I didn't know what it was. Now, since then, the game has been ported to, like, every console, right? I think the game did so well on PC that they were able to port it to every single modernized console or whatever. So, we'll be checking that out as well. And then last but certainly not least, because last night I ran a poll, and I said, what game do you want to see me play the most out of the 4 indie games? And the game that won the poll was this game, Terraria. Now, this one, I do know a little bit about this. Terraria is supposed to be a combination of, like, 8-bit 2D style platforming and combat combined with elements from a survival game such as Minecraft. So I guess what the point is you gotta survive, you gotta, you know, kill enemies, but also you get crafting components that you use to craft things just to help you in the game. I've never played it. So I'm interested in it to see what it is. I've heard about it for years. I mean, I've heard for years and years about this game. And people have said, well, if we'll ever play it and stuff like that. So I'm happy that people did nominate and vote on it and ended up making it to this marathon. And, you know, it's going to be one of the 4 games that I play today on stream. Very nice. Okay? So those are the 4 games. Again, Shadow Complex Remastered, Night in the Woods, Broforce, and Terraria. I'm not sure what order I'm playing them. Quite honestly, it doesn't really matter. But of course, what I want to do is I want to build the stream. I don't want to start with the game everyone wants to see first, and then everyone leaves. So I'll probably save Terraria for near the end, maybe one of the last 2 games. I don't know. Maybe I'll start, I don't know, Broforce or Night in the Woods maybe is a good one to start with. I don't know. We'll talk about it in a moment, because I have a few more things to talk about before we start here, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's today's marathon. Now, I'll be recording as usual for YouTube, and at the end of today's stream, I'll be uploading all the videos to YouTube. So, warning, if you're someone who subscribed to DSPGaming, expect a bomb of videos today, because I'll be uploading, you know, potentially an hour to an hour and a half of 4 games. So you're talking anywhere of 6 to 9 videos per game that will be uploaded to DSPGaming today. So, you know, before people, oh my god, you bombed your channel, you know. So there you go. Kekken just did a 10-bit cheer. He says, I recommend Night in the Woods earlier rather than later, and Terraria is definitely a showstopper. So you think Terraria should be the end? The conclusion of the stream, I guess? Maybe I'll do, like, Night in the Woods, Broforce, Shadow Complex, Terraria, something like that. I don't know. We'll talk about it again in a second. But give me your opinions, everybody. Alright. So, yes, expect many videos on DSPGaming later today. That'll be set up after the stream ends, obviously. Okay? The way it's going to work is I'll play, you know, we'll jump into a game, play it for about an hour to an hour and a half, gauge interest, okay? And then take a break, maybe, you know, 10 minutes break. It won't be long breaks because the good news, this is the good news, I talked about this last night on social media. For the first time ever, for one of my marathons, this has never happened before. Every time I do a marathon like this, it ends up a split between one console, another console, then I gotta fly over to my PC, you know, I gotta bounce around. And not to say that it's difficult, it's not, it's just a little bit time consuming and it has a little bit of annoyance. Especially when I have to set up each game individually to capture on the PC and everything, and they're all different. Yeah, in that case, that's not the case. They're all on PlayStation 4. I've never done an Indies Marathon where every single game was on the PS4 before. So this is actually a pretty good one where we won't need a ton of time to adjust between the games. We'll probably take 10 to 15 minute breaks between each game just so I could use the bathroom and maybe grab a snack. Because here's the thing, I didn't eat anything today. I woke up and jumped right into work trying to set up and everything. So that being said, more than likely I'm going to get hungry. And I did actually buy some beef jerky. I got some trail mix. I got a few energizing snacks that I can eat during the breaks of the stream today. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So, it should be fun. And I think it's going to be a good one. So, you know, be a game, then a break, then a game, then a break. And like I said, more than likely we'll go, like I said, till around maybe 7:30, maybe even as late as 8 o'clock. It all depends on how much fun we're having. That's the thing. If I'm having a ton of fun, I'm getting wrapped up in the games, then I'll keep going. That's kind of what I like about these marathons is there's no real limitation to it, right? And, I mean, I hate to say it, but now that I have a different kind of schedule going here, I can go as late as I want. It's not like I have a time restriction and I have to stop at a certain time. This could go on, you know, as late as I really feel like playing. So, okay. So there you go. Indies Marathon. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. It's the first time I've done an Indies Marathon in a long time, by the way. Let me do a couple shout outs and then I'll give you some, I got some really good news for everyone I want to share. But let me do some shout outs first. Retro Cerberus resubscribed to the channel for the 8th month in a row. Thank you, Retro Cerberus. I appreciate that. That Anonymous did a 10-bit cheer. He said, bless this mess. Then he did another 20-bit cheer and he said, Broforce is a great game to jump straight into first, in my opinion. Alright, fair enough. Maybe we'll do Broforce, Night in the Woods, Shadow Complex, Terraria. I don't know. We'll figure it out in a second. Shout out to Super Blind Man, who is has resubscribed for the 8th month in a row. And he says, 8 months strong, no regrets, still so glad to be a part of this community. Thank you, Super Blind Man, for the positive reinforcement and the support. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Shout out to Kekin, who just did a 50-bit cheer. And he says that Derek says he hopes you love his fan art. I'm hyped for Terraria. I'm familiar with Terraria. And you played Shadow Complex HD all the way back on August 25th, 2009. Holy shit. It's a playthrough on my original Dark Side Filled channel. Wow. So, there you go. Almost 8 years ago, folks. And it's funny because I remember it. I actually remember the game. I don't remember any of the gameplay specifically, but I remember playing it and what it looked like back then. So, damn, that's 8 years ago. Holy shit, man. Boy, does the time fly. 8 freaking years ago, dude. Alright, so now let's share some good news. Oh, actually, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to reset the top cheer. My bad. Alright, I reset the top cheer on the stream. I apologize, I did not do that earlier. Kekken technically should have the top cheer with the 50-bit cheer, but I didn't reset it. That's my fault. But, now it's reset. So now cheers should start sticking up there in the stream chat, okay? Alright. The good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that for the past couple of weeks, things have been very uncertain with Patreon for the month of July. You know, it's pertinent that I talk about it because Patreon is what made today's marathon possible. It's what's making tomorrow's Sonic Adventure playthrough possible. Over the month of July, things have been very uncertain because we were below the monthly goal for quite some time, and not by like a little bit, by like over $100, okay? And it sucks because, you know, the summer is the slowest time of the year. I know that. There's no new releases. A lot of people who normally would be around watching my streams, watching my videos on YouTube, or who would be pledging to my Patreon aren't around during the summer. They're off doing other stuff. They're on vacation. They're doing whatever, right? I get that. I want to say thank you to those of you who are still here, who are checking out this stuff on a daily basis. And in particular, those who still do things like pledge and contribute to the streams and stuff like that. I appreciate it because, as you know, I'm still here working every day, trying to entertain you as much as I can. Despite the fact that there's no big AAA releases or anything currently, I'm doing the best I can, okay? So, we were in trouble because it was basically, a couple days left here till the end of the month. I was still over $125 away from hitting the Patreon goal. I have to give a huge thank you shout out. I'm not going to name names in particular because these people didn't step up and say, oh, please give us credit or anything. There's a few people, there's actually 3 people in particular who last night gave some significantly large pledges to my Patreon, all right? To the point where it went over the monthly goal, okay? At least when it comes to what was showing on my publicly facing Patreon page, it was actually up to like 1174 or something like that. My goal is 1125 a month. It exceeded it. It was like 1174 or whatever, okay? And so the good news here is because a few people stepped up and contributed in a big way, it looks like there's almost no way we won't hit the monthly goal. The only way that we could not hit July's goal at this point for Patreon would be if tonight, because it's actually at midnight tonight when the ongoing pledgees get processed. If they go and they process and all of a sudden like a ton of people get declined, I'm talking like, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people get declined and it's all big significant amounts of money, then maybe we'd be in dire straits. The good news is that's only happened once ever that big. All right. Typically, I do get people. Who get declined every month, but usually it's a reasonable amount. Usually it's between 10 and 20 people, and most people, once I notify them that their pledges got declined, they update their info and it ends up clearing anyway. So it's not really a huge issue. All right. Now, I don't want to promise people oh, we've hit the goal 100% guaranteed. You know, we've done it. We're good. No, I don't want to do that. Because I'm afraid that if I do that, then what happens if worst case scenario happens, you know? That would just be my luck. We hit the goal. We did it. It's all amazing. And then fucking something crazy happens, you know? And then we don't hit it. I don't want to do that. But the bottom line is we are pretty much in the clear here. I could not really foresee something going so horribly wrong that we don't hit the monthly goal for July. I mean, it would be very, very, that would be like such a ridiculously, in statistics, they call it an outlier, all right? A situation that's so not along with the norm. So, yes, hopefully everything goes well and we hit that goal. And the good news is, if we do hit that goal, it will be another marathon. Well, excuse me, not another marathon. Another playthrough. It's going to be a Patron's Choice playthrough where people who pledge $5 or more to my Patreon in July get to nominate and vote on a game that's going to be the downtime playthrough during the fall. So September, October, November, as I'm playing all the big AAA releases, any time that's in between those releases where there's not a lot going on, this would be the game that I'm going to be picking up and playing, okay? So, the good news also is it's not going to be a Japanese-centric game. It's not going to be a JRPG or a visual novel or anything like that. It's going to be a very different kind of game. Already I'm getting a vibe. One person who actually did a very large pledge basically said, I really want Jak 3 to win this poll, okay? And I said, well, chances are Jak 3 is going to get nominated because that's one of the action-based games that people have wanted to see me play for years. It always makes it to a poll, but it's never won before. I mean, Jak 3's probably been on 3 to 4 Patron's Choice playthrough polls, but never wins. Maybe this will probably be its time in the sun. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But, you know, I'm just saying, it's going to be a different kind of playthrough. It's not going to be like the previous Patron's Choice playthrough, so that'll be good. So I do want to say thank you to everyone who has pledged to my Patreon for this month. And by the way, hint, hint, there is about, let's see, what's it, 1 p.m. now? So there's about 11 hours left if you still want to pledge and get in on this Patron's Choice event. If you pledge $5 or more in the next 11 hours, you'll still get in on July's stuff. You'll get your perks and everything. For example, Ask the King. My bi-monthly Q&A show is going to happen in late August. So if you pledge now for that perk level, you'll get in. You'll be able to get your question answered on the show. All right? So there you have it. Great news. I was, honestly worried. I had all but kind of given up. And then all of a sudden, a few nice people stepped up, pledged boom, we hit the goal. It worked out well, and I'm very happy about this. Okay. Very nice. All right, I really don't have much else to talk about. Okay. I don't. So, let me do some shout-outs here, and then I'll do very quick the plugs, and then we'll get started. Okay? And then we'll determine what game I'm actually going to start with here, because I still haven't determined that. Shout-out to Anonymous, who did a 50-bit cheer. He's at Indie Games Hype. Yes, I love indie games. I do. I love doing the indie game playthroughs. They're very different. Me being exposed to things that normally I don't play, so that's a good thing. Dooley did a 100-bit cheer. He says, have a nice marathon, Phil. Thank you, Dooley. Thank you very much for the support. All right, you are the cheer leader for the stream so far today. Shout out to Real Pet Chicken, who subscribed to the channel for the 4th month in a row. And he says, Phil, I'd like to thank you for all the Street Fighter 2 videos that you've uploaded. It's amazing to see someone of your skill kick ass online. I'm always rooting for you and hope you have more success in the future. Well, first of all, thank you, Real Pet Chicken, for the resub. I appreciate that. I still say it's funny. And the reason I say it's funny is because there's still people to this day who are so either ignorant or they just don't want to believe, no matter what evidence is presented to them or whatever. They refuse to believe, ever, that I played a competitive fighting game at a professional level. They don't want to believe it because they say, oh, Phil's known for being the guy who kind of sucks at every game he plays, and we want to just make slanderous, insulting, negative videos about him. We can't do that if we actually acknowledge the fact that he's actually good at something. Right? So that being said, they ignore the fact that there's, numerous tournament results out there showing that I've placed and won tournaments before. 4th place at EVO Nationals, won multiple EVO qualifying tournaments in 2006 and 2007. The fact that during that time period I was winning or at least making top 3 in pretty much every single Street Fighter 2 tournament that I entered, no matter where it was, whether it was on the East Coast, West Coast, Texas, anywhere I went, I was placing or winning, okay? They don't want to acknowledge that. They just want to pretend like all that doesn't exist and that I have no actual knowledge of fighting games, and every time I play, I'm just like an incompetent boob who's just there to scream and yell and suck, when it's not the case. If you've watched the Street Fighter 2 footage, you know that, okay? You can see I can play with every character in that game. I know a lot of gameplay mechanics in that game from having so much experience in it. I mean, Street Fighter 2, I played Street Fighter 2 on the United States release day in arcades. I was there. It was luck. I just happened to be there on the day when it was released in American arcades, and I played it, on launch day. And pretty much, never went back. Not to say that I play it constantly at a competitive level anymore, but I played the living hell out of it. I know so much about Street Fighter 2 in particular that, it would be, you'd have to have your eyes closed, or you'd have to actively be ignoring the fact that you can see for yourself that I'm actually good at Street Fighter 2 in order to say I'm not good at it and I can't play at a pro level and all that. And of course you got idiots who argue semantics. You were never a professional fighting game player. You never made a living doing it. That's correct. You want to know why I never made a living doing it? Because you couldn't. When I played fighting games at a professional level, meaning a high-level, competitive level, there was no way to make enough money to make a living doing it. Even if you went to EVO and won every fucking tournament, you couldn't make a living doing it. It wasn't enough money. I played fighting games back when they were a grassroots movement. A small, independent group of gamers who came together and did all these things by themselves. There was no corporate sponsorship. There was no Hori or Mad Cats. Of course, Mad Cats is gone now. But, there was no Hori. There was none of these sponsorship companies. They didn't exist. They weren't handing out money to gamers to do stuff. There weren't giant thousands and thousands of dollar payouts for winning tournaments. Okay? So, you can't... Oh, Phil's not a pro fighting game player. Well, no. In the regards of making a living, no one was back then. It actually wasn't until about 1 to 2 years into the launch of Street Fighter 4 when Street Fighter 4 became so mainstream and so many people started playing it, that then all of a sudden these companies said, looks to me like there's money to be had here. We could sell game pads, we could sell merch, we could sell joysticks, we could sell all these periphery items and make a ton of money. Let's jump in here with the sponsorship and all of that, right? So then all of a sudden they started signing these gamers to teams and shit and all that stuff. And that's when all that was made possible. But yeah, the truth of the matter is I'm really good at Street Fighter 2. I love the game, even though every version of the game I play is far inferior to the actual arcade version. And every time I play it, over the years, whether it's a shitty PS2 port, Anniversary Edition, Capcom Classics Collection 2 Edition, HD Remix Edition, and now we've got Ultra Street Fighter 2 Edition. They're all different from the original Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo arcade version, which is the best fighting game ever made in my opinion. But that being said, I love playing whatever version of the game I can get my hands on, alright? So, that's why I love it, alright? And that's why I play it, even though the connections are terrible and all, I rage when I play. I still very much enjoy it. It gives me a feeling of nostalgia and a feeling of connection to my roots of how I got started just in gaming in general, alright? So thank you, Real Pet Chicken, for that acknowledgement. Thank you for enjoying it. In fact, I have another batch of Ultra Street Fighter 2 videos that I recorded Saturday that I did not upload yet. So I've actually got those kind of saved up. And I hopefully, will be uploading those maybe later this week. We'll see. But I do have a whole session. And this was a good session. I won most games in this session as well. So, yeah, that's coming up. Shout out to Kekin, who did a 15-bit cheer. He says, in my small town in South Texas, we have people trying to make big tournaments happen, and there's still not enough money or entrance to make it work. My tournament from this weekend actually lost money, but we still do it for the love of it. That is pretty much the story of the competitive fighting game community before Street Fighter 4. Seriously, except for EVO, because EVO ended up being the big profitable one, because the Cannon brothers, who had a ton of money from their own personal lives, one of them was a big computer programmer and wrote a bunch of code that ended up making him tons and tons of money, and he invested that money into a national Street Fighter tournament that ended up becoming EVO. But outside of that, a lot of these tournaments ended up not being profitable. Or if they did, it was very negligible. A lot of them just would break even. But they did it for the love of the game. Those were the people from those years, the late 90s, up until the launch of Street Fighter 4. Most people who were into Street Fighter played it for the love of the game. There wasn't money to be made. You know what I mean? It was more about supporting, having this multicultural, diverse community of people from all over the world come together to play a competitive game and have fun with it. And then Street Fighter 4 launched, and it became about, I want to be E-famous, and I want to make that cheddar, that money, and I just want to fucking be popular, E-popular, and that's when you saw all these people who you've never fucking heard of before in the Street Fighter community, all of a sudden became big names because of online YouTube videos and shit like that. And you're like, who the fuck are these guys? Most people who are old school players at that point kind of got turned off when we saw how toxic the community became, because instead of being about the love of the game, it all became about the E-fame bullshit and the drama and the nonsense. And, obviously you're going to get turned off by that, right? Because you see how different it got, right? All right. Anyway, I'm getting very sidetracked here. I'm getting very, very sidetracked here, okay? We're here to play indie games. Oh, yeah. All right, so, very quickly, let me run through some plugs and then we'll get started, okay? So, thank you everyone for being here live on the stream. Hope you enjoyed today's marathon stream of indie games. If you enjoy my daily live streams, if you enjoy my on-demand videos on YouTube, and if you want to see me continue to be able to do this on a daily basis and bring you this free content full-time, there are many ways that you can support my efforts. I've already mentioned Patreon, so I'm not going to go into it again. Patreon.com/DarkSidePhil. You have about 10.5 hours to pledge to the July Patreon, get in on all those perks and all of that. There's also my Teespring, which just launched a new line of products this past week. It has the manga-style DSP, and there's also the I Hate Skeleton shirt, which, by the way, I'm wearing it today. I'll show you on webcam in just a moment when I bring up the webcam, okay? So, good stuff. There's also tons of other products. The skull logo, that's ever popular. This is, DSP Gaming design. The DSP Gaming channel logo. The Wow Dude logo. There's tons of stuff on there that people have bought and enjoyed. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, mugs, all kinds of merch. Anything that you buy, I get a good commission from. So please consider checking that out. If you've ever wanted an in-person piece of merch or swag or collectible, whatever you want to call it, good stuff, okay? And then, of course, if you are here live, folks, on the stream, and you're watching this live on Twitch, and you want to support the effort, you can cheer with bits, you can sub to the channel, or you can tip me, okay? So the way it works is if you do any of those things, I will give you a shout-out during the course of the stream. As you see, I've read everyone's messages and everything that they've already done that stuff here on pre-stream. Now, if you cheer 50 bits or more, if you sub to the channel and click on the share button, or if you tip me $2 or more, you'll actually get an on-screen notification that will basically gives you double recognition. Not only will you get the visual recognition of getting that on-screen pop-up, but you'll also get a verbal recognition as well during the course of the stream, all right? Anything that you guys contribute is greatly appreciated. Obviously, like I said, helps me to do this every single day. And that's really it. I don't really have, much else to say. I think we could get started. Sound good? All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. What I'll do is I'll stop recording pre-stream. I'll talk with the actual stream chat for a second to determine what game we're going to start with. And then we'll get started. Sound good? All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's end this, and let's begin.